Speech delays and multilingualism. Let's chat about it for a minute. If you're raising your kids in 2 or more languages and you suspect that they have a language delay, listen up. It is fully and entirely possible that your child has a speech delay, but it's not caused by raising your child bilingually, trilingually, multilingually. I'm not a speech pathologist, so take this with a grain of salt, but if you want to kind of get a sense for if your intuition or what you're hearing around you is correct or not, you need to compare your child to the guidelines and goals for a monolingual child across all of the languages. For example, if you're looking at the word count of your toddler, you cannot compare your word count of your toddler in one language to a monolingual child's. You need to compare the words all as separate words, even if it's the same word in both languages. For example, cat and katze. So English cat, German katze, those are 2 different words. You need to count those individually and then compare it to a monolingual kid. Furthermore, it's really important to look at the responsiveness of your kid and if they're understanding the language but not producing it. If they're also not understanding it, you can't rule out that there's something going on with their hearing. Now, I live in Germany where there's a wait and see rhetoric, especially for little kids. This can be positive in a lot of ways, but I also think it stops parents from getting some support at an earlier time when it would be beneficial. However, tied to that is a big misconception that kids need to learn one language correctly before they learn any other languages. Parents, educators, caretakers, any of the above, get stressed out when kids are mixing the languages, which is actually called interlanguage and is a positive sign of language development. However, it truly is worth it to advocate for your kid if you notice there is a strong possibility of a language delay, even if at first look your pediatrician is not quite supporting your worries. If your child is having a speech delay, your main source of help you want to get is from a speech language pathologist, speech therapist, logopede, here in Germany, logopedin. But if your pediatrician or any other professionals are giving you a wait and see approach instead of getting that support you need, there are a million different things that you can do to get the process going. By the way, I'm Amy, American teacher living in Germany for exactly a decade. I'm raising both my daughters bilingually. I studied this topic and have worked with multilingual families for over a decade. I started this account to share my life abroad and to support families on their multilingual journey. Along with sharing understanding and language learning tips, I've also started supporting families who need a little bit of a deeper dive into their situation. You can check out the link in my profile and send me a message, but also you can save this post or send it to a friend who might be struggling with something like this, and I hope to see you next time. Ciao.